All right. Everything appears to be in order. Making sure volumes are good. So, on the off chance I get loud, I don't scream your head off. Also, a little tidbit here. It's always good to have an instant mute button just in case you got that sudden urge to sneeze out of nowhere. Really do hate when that happens, but yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another session of solo leveling. It truly is an honor to do this for you guys. I know I tend to say this at the end of whenever I do a stream, but I have to say that I truly and immensely enjoy doing this for all of you. I find great joy in doing this. I find satisfaction in doing this every single Wednesday for you guys. And not just Wednesday, but everything else I do as well. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be someone that you guys enjoy to watch. And I'm happy about it. I don't know what else to say except I am happy to do this. All right, so welcome Cohagen and Destruct, and that's going to be the last moment of me reading chat as we move into this next chapter, which dropped. It dropped a couple of minutes ago, but I wasn't ready to get it started at 11:50, so I had to push it to like 11:55 for you guys. So apologies if I didn't get it up fast enough. But today we're going to be reading chapter 152. Because the last chapter we had, Jin went up against the Monarch a little bit, Go-Gun-Hee died, and then Jin pretty much made it known to all of the rest of the Hunter Association that, hey, these Monarchs are out there, and they're probably going to be hunting these upper rankers. So if you are a high ranker, make sure, and if you're going someplace, make sure you got some people that you can trust to be with you. And if you don't, then call me. So now we get to see what happens next. Chapter 152, and the first panel is inside of a dark cave. Oh, I think I know who these are already. We got numerous shadow figures like the Akatsuki from Naruto Shippuden when they were convening and meeting each other, and they had like the ghetto statue hands, and they were standing on each of them. All of these individuals are standing on these pillars right now, and I can only assume that every single one of these are the remaining Monarchs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the remaining Monarchs in here. And I see the Beast guy, and I see the Frost Monarch in the distance. And we got someone else standing next to the Beast guy. We got someone shaded, she looks like, with a green aura. The Beast Monarch, the Beastman Monarch guy, has an orange aura. Frost Monarch, obviously, he has a frost light blue aura. The one standing next to the Beastman on his left has like a purplish magenta aura, and the woman who's still in shadow on his right is in like a lime green aura, and then there's another individual with a red aura in the back. And then the Frost Monarch speaks. The Shadow Monarch is on the surface of the earth. And then we have someone else speaking up. Here's another Monarch saying,
Didn't you say there was no vessel that could fully contain his true powers? And isn't that the exact reason why Dragon King can't remain on the surface of the earth?
Then, because I have no idea who this guy is, I might need to look at his face just a little bit more to solidify on a voice for him. Because the voice I'm kind of using, it kind of reminds me a little bit too much of Go-Gun-Hee. But I haven't done a Russian accent, so I'll do this instead.
Didn't you say there was no vessel that could fully contain his true powers? And isn't that the exact reason why Dragon King can't remain on the surface of the earth?
I like that one better. I'm going to keep this Russian voice with him. Since Yuri Orlov is dead, I can dedicate a Russian voice to someone else now. Then the Frost Monarch says, I saw with my own 2 eyes. He's more of a threat than fragments of luminosity. I will take care of him. Are you willing to help me? And then we have the other guy that was there with Christopher Reed when he died. He speaks up saying, by picking a fight against him, you're only looking for suicide. Your opponent is one of the strongest of the 9 monarchs. Why not wait for the monarch of destruction, the Dragon King, to return? Your opponent is one of the strongest of the 9 monarchs. Jin has the power of one of the strongest monarchs. The monarchs are confirming that the Shadow Monarch himself is among the strongest of them. Oh my goodness, why are you hyping him up so much? Your opponent is one of the strongest of the 9 monarchs. Why not wait for the monarch of destruction, the Dragon King, to return? And then the Frost Monarch says,
although we are currently on the run, we are the monarchs, and yet all we can do is wait for the Dragon King. The only chance we have in defeating the Shadow Monarch is now, when he is still in the form of a human. Please help me. I will take responsibility and return him to nothingness.
And then the guy that was at Christopher Reed says, count me out of this. And then the other monarch says,
I also don't want to become like the Monarch of White Flames either.
And then the Beast Pirate says,
Scaredy cats. You should know what happened to the Monarch of White Flames after he was defeated. I don't want to be caught by the Shadow Monarch's authority and...
Oh, wait, so the Beast Man just says,
Scaredy cats.
And then the one that's was there with Christopher Reed says, you should know what happened to the Monarch of White Flames after he was defeated. I don't want to be caught up by the Shadow Monarch's authority and suffer through an eternal slumber. Wait, what? Don't want to be caught by the Shadow Monarch's authority and suffer through an eternal slumber. Does the eternal slumber originate from the Shadow Monarch himself? Or is that just an ability that the Shadow Monarch can imbue into someone? I don't want to be caught by the Shadow Monarch's authority and suffer through an eternal slumber. I need to think about that for a moment later on, just to make sure that my assumptions are correct. Someone who knows better than me will probably correct me, without spoilers, mind you, but I'm just thinking about the way he phrased that. But then the Beast guy says,
I don't think he can make us. Who are in our original forms into... I don't think he can make us, who are in our original forms, into one of his servants.
And then the other monarch says, it seems the Shadow Monarch and the Administrator are working together now. He can create a replica of us. I don't want to turn into a tool into his world. And then the monarchs just disappear into portals. The one that was at Christopher Reed and the one I gave a Russian accent to. They both just disappear into their respective realms. And now we're just left with who we met the first time, the Frost Monarch and the Beastman Monarch.
And the evidence that he is still a human?
Then the Frost Monarch says, he applied poison onto his dagger. It's not something Ashbourne, the Shadow Monarch, would do. Wow, so that's his name. Even though his name was kind of spoiled for me in chat long ago, his name is Ashbourne. And now I can talk about it. Ashbourne is a sick name. Oh my goodness. Ashbourne, the Shadow Monarch. Ashbourne. I don't want to be Dragonborn. I want to be Ashbourne. That is so sick. That name is cool. I'd rather be Ashbourne than a Dragonborn. And we've seen what a Dragonborn can do in Skyrim. But Ashbourne just sounds so much more... Like, I can't use... I can't say the word. But Ashbourne is bad. That's what it is. He applied poison onto his dagger. It's not something Ashbourne, the Shadow Monarch, would do. And then someone speaks up and she says, poison, huh? If the Shadow Monarch could fully control their human body, they wouldn't have had to resort to such trickery. And who is this woman who looks like she could be a very distant relative to Lust from Full Metal Alchemist? She is Lady Dimitrescu thick. Sorry, it's just... She's coiled on this little centipede-looking creature, but the details here... She's... My goodness. Okay. I hope this doesn't awaken something in me. She looked good. I'm gonna say that much. I gotta scroll down, otherwise I'm just gonna keep looking at her. But then the Frost Monarch says, "Will you be joining me?" And she says, I will help you." And then the Beast Monarch says, "We will kill the Shadow Monarch together." Wow. So the Frost Monarch, whoever this other lady is that looks like Lust, is going to be teaming up with him, and the Beast Monarch are teaming up together to take on Jin. Bring out your dead! But now we're back in the city. And someone's on the news, someone's speaking, saying, "Please think it over again about the one who will be able to save your life when another S-class gate opens in this world. Even if you pay hundreds and thousands of times the money you paid to buy your own, you can never save your own life in such situations. When Hunter Sung Jin-woo was fighting against the ants on Jeju Island, the chairman who was watching the broadcast with me told me this. Now that his wish has been fulfilled, he could comfortably rest in peace. But I never thought that he would actually pass away like this." And people are just walking, because it's raining out. People are just walking in the rain, and Jin, no longer wearing his big old cloak, is now just up on a rooftop. Man still ain't wearing socks, though. Don't you worry about athlete's foot? You can't have your feet get wet and then have them stuck in shoes all day without socks or some sort of protection. You gotta think about ringworm, man. Think about athlete's foot. Think about the foot fungus. Put some socks on, Jin. But he's just in a hoodie on a rooftop, on a distant rooftop, just looking out, thinking about these words. And then Jin thinks, "I cannot sense his magic power, so I guess this method won't work very well." Wow, it's been a minute since we last seen Jin's level. Status: name, Sung Jin-woo, level 133. Overpowered levels, it seems. Occupation: Monarch of the Shadows. Titles: Demon Hunter and 2 others. 8 hit points: 78,230. Magic points: 136,160. Fatigue: 3. Strength: 308. Stamina: 307. Dexterity: 316. Intelligence: 321. Sense: 298. Ability points: 0. And then he's thinking back to when he was fighting the Monarch earlier, saying when the Frost Monarch said, "Why don't we stop here for today? I'm not here to fight with our lives on the line." Then Jin is just mulling over this, thinking, he didn't have a shadow with him. He said he was in his original form. According to what the Monarch of the Giants told me, the Monarchs and the rulers are all in their original forms, and thus they cannot become shadow soldiers. And then we have Legia saying,
All of the monarchs and the rulers were in their original form. And once their original form dies, they become destroyed and cannot become a shadow soldier.
Along the same lines, if monarchs do not have shadows, a great tracking source would have been blocked. Well, it doesn't matter. As long as I am a hunter, I will never miss my prey. And as he's looking out over the city, there's like this fog that's over the city. Good lord, that solo leveling video game needs to come out now. Also, the My Hero Academia The Strongest Hero game that I've talked about, that's dropping today. So it's a mobile game, but I believe it's like semi-open world mobile game. That's dropping today, and I believe it should be out right now. I'll check later. As long as I am a hunter, I will never miss my prey. And then we got people at a board meeting. It looks to be like the US board meeting, or at least the board meeting of hunters, because I see Woo there and other people. It has been a week since the chairman's position has been emptied. We need to find the successor to the chairman's position. The fact that an S-rank hunter was the chairman of the Hunter Association had many symbolic meanings. And now that the association, which was overseeing 5 great guilds, has lost such a great figure, I'm starting to sound more and more like George Takei. And now,
that the association, which was overseeing 5 great guilds, has lost such a great figure.
I sound like George Decay the more I start reading that.
Who will be able to control the guilds now?
And another one speaks up saying,
Are you suggesting we hire another S-rank hunter? Even though the higher rank hunters are very influential, we need to take extra caution in bringing in outsiders.
And then someone speaks up saying,
After long and intense discussion, the directors and I would like to recommend Woo Jin-chul as the new president of the association.
Sorry, it's just that when he said that, that tripped me up in my speech right there. Woo, the next president of the Hunter Association, bruh, that's a glow up, that's a promotion. You ready? Promotion. Like, dude.
After long and intense discussion, the directors and I would like to recommend Woo Jin-chul as the new president of the association.
And Woo was surprised by this.
What? Why me? We believe that Chief Woo Jin-chul must most closely assisted the president.
Sorry, it's just that this moment right here is really tripping up my speech. I am so sorry.
We believe that Chief Woo Jin-chul most closely assisted the president and gained the most skill. He is also very capable in terms of leadership and the ability to call hunters into action. There is no law that only an S-rank hunter can take the place as president, as a presence that casts an influence among hunters and a presence hunters fear. We see Woo Jin-chul as the perfect candidate, looking back how he pulled hunters together and took control of the party.
And then Woo says, I am lacking in too many other aspects to be taking such an honorable position. There are many others who are of a higher rank than me, and aren't I still too young and naive? There is the position of the
vice president as an option as well. Directors and managers of affiliates who have gathered here today, there are many great people like...
Oh, wait. This is Woo still speaking.
There is the position of the vice president as an option as well. Directors and managers of affiliates who have gathered here today. There are many great people like these. Yet why am I to sit where President Go-Gun-hee did?
Then they speak up.
Me and the other executives of the association do not have the power to move around the great forces of Korea. However, Inspector Woo Jin-chul has the power to do so. You have connections to many great guilds, and above all, don't you have a connection to Hunter Sung Jin-woo?
I did run into him frequently, but I don't know whether Hunter Sung Jin-woo will think of it the same way.
We cannot force our decision onto Inspector Woo Jin-chul. However, would you be willing to carefully consider accepting our proposal?
And as this is being said, Woo can only look at the seat where Go-Gun-hee sat. And then he says, I will. And now we're here at the White Tiger Guild. Wow, it's been a minute. Wait, that's not the White Tiger Guild. That's the Scavenger Guild. And who do we see coming through the elevator? But Laura and Andre! Thomas Andre, it's moving again! But Thomas Andre, still with his arm in a cast, is walking down to, I want to say, basement level 4. At least that's what the elevator shows. And he's down there with Laura, and he says,
It's been a while since I last came to the underground.
And then other members of the Scavenger Guild come up, says, Master, what are you acting... Oh, wait. Then he says,
What are you acting all startled for? You guys sit back down.
Then he scans his thumb on an imprint, on a scanner, and they both walk through. Both Laura and Andre walk through, saying... And she says, Are you really thinking of giving that away as a gift?
Why? Do you think it's not worth the lives of me and the members of my guild?
No, I do not think so.
Do you think he lacks the skills as a hunter to use it?
And as the doors open, Laura doesn't say anything. And they've walked through many, many doors. Think Dexter's Laboratory where multiple doors just close on top of one another. That's how many doors they've kind of gone through. And they enter into an area where some sort of black smoke is coming up from the bottom of the panel, but we don't see what it is. What is it? And then Andre says, as awesome as always. And then Laura says, there are only 2 of them in the entire world, and I am sure that number will stay consistent throughout the future. And then Andre says, yes. And then she says, but you're still going to give it to him? What is this? Okay, so what I'm looking at, it looks like an armory of some kind. Like there's weapons on each side, but there's something in the middle. I can't make it out. It kind of looks like a coffin, but at the same time, not a coffin. What is it? Then Andre says, yes, that's exactly the reason I'm going to give it to him. Don't you think it's a waste that the best of all weapons is just rotting here, gaining dust? Oh my goodness! Yo! Look at the hotness! And I say look, but you guys can't actually see it. I'm reading from Ashura Scans, just so you guys know. Yo! That is some red hot chili pepper looking daggers right there! Yo, these daggers look sick! Crimson bladed daggers with hints of bone and ebony handles. I feel like the sommelier when I'm describing weapons. One crimson dagger with a red crimson blade, bone fragments across the blade, with an ebony hilt curved in the way of Count Dooku's lightsaber, and another one with a far thinner blade with black guards on it. Black shadowy guards attached to it with another ebony handle that ends in glowing red pommels. Oh, the hotness. Jin is about to get some new toys. And that's the end of chapter 152, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if I took so long. But let's talk about the important matters right now. Okay, so firstly, let me see what you guys have said. Let me bring up chat. This chapter is good. Destruct, yes it is. There you go. Yay, hey, Zay. Anime Boys. And Andre Wadena. Whew. And Rax as well. He has status recovery. He doesn't have to worry about athlete's foot. You know what, Destruct? Actually, you're right. I forget that Jin is pretty much resistant to normal human ailments. So I don't even know what I was thinking that he that might be the reason why he can wear whatever he wants without worrying about it overly affecting his body. I mean, if a basic knife can't even press into his skin, then I highly doubt he's going to be getting ill from anything. But overall, this was a pretty smooth chapter. It was an expository chapter. We saw the Frost Monarch. We saw two new monarchs. One that I gave a Russian voice to, and who's like clad in armor around his head with a big old hood. And then there was another one, like a woman that basically looks like Lus from Full Metal Alchemist. Like, thin waists and everything else is, like, extra thick! Like, seriously. And she's going to be joining with the Beast Monarch and the Frost Monarch in order to take on Jin. Wow, I managed to get through this relatively quickly. Nice. And they're going to be going after Jin. So, that's a thing. Can't wait to see how that goes down. I am waiting with anticipation. But now we have moments where Jin is just looking out, thinking about what the Frost Monarch said, still continuing to be a hunter, and it's been a while since we had a chapter where it showed his level. He's level 133, so he's been real busy just being overly overpowered. But another important matter is how Wu is being suggested for the next position of chairman. But the dude is too humble to want to take that position. He sees himself as too young and naive. And, like, he's wondering if he has what it takes to fill the shoes of Go-Gun Hee. Only time will tell if he can measure up and if he has the confidence to uphold that position. I believe Wu will do a good job. I think Monarch of White Flames is Baron. Yes, it is. It is Baron. The Monarch of the White Flame. It is Baron. When gonna be released a new chapter? Pretty much every Wednesday. I mean, I read today's chapter today, Max Pompa. So today's newest chapter, chapter 152, is already out today. Just go to ashidascans.com/solo leveling, and then you can catch up to where we are. But a bit of an expository chapter. Nothing too big happened aside from Jin being back in Korea, just thinking about what the Frost Monarch said, Wu being suggested for the position of chairman, the world kind of going through its paces. Like, it's been a week since the death of Go-Gun Hee already. So the world is just kind of continuing from here. But let's also note that the final thing we get from this chapter is Andre wanting to give Jin 2 daggers. Now, mind you, Laura is really apprehensive about Andre giving Jin these daggers. Only time will tell, and only chapters will tell when we get to find out what these daggers are called. Don't tell me. And what they can do. Don't tell me. I want to find out the moment those chapters happen. But the daggers that Jin has been rolling with, I wonder, can weapons be upgraded? That's not a concept that I've really paid attention to throughout this story ever since I've been reading Solo Leveling. But because the thing is, leveling up in this story is akin to a video game. So, like a video games that give you weapons, can these weapons be upgraded and become more powerful, or are they just stagnant and dependent on the skill of its user? Because if that's the case, I wonder how powerful these dual daggers are in comparison to every other dagger that Jin has used thus far. If they're far more powerful than the daggers that he's been using, Jin's going to be an even bigger powerhouse than he was before. Actually, let me go ahead and you guys are asking for a link. Let me just link the entirety of the Solo Leveling chapter list for you guys, so you guys know where to go. Apologies for that, Frozen Eagle US. Also, Gabriel, welcome. And there is far too many characters in this website for me to just put it down in there. 600 characters? You would think that YouTube would have at least made, I don't know, a character limit increase for saying something in chat, but then again, people would be putting in whole paragraphs if that was the case. But there you guys go. Overall, I really enjoyed this chapter. It was I want to say, in comparison to what we've experienced thus far, it was pretty smooth. It wasn't too overly big, even though, not only that, but we also found out the name of the monarch, the Shadow Monarch himself, Ashbourne, the Shadow Monarch. Now, like I said earlier, someone had dropped the name of him in chat for, I don't know if it was just a slip of the tongue or they just were absent-minded for that moment. Before I even found it out. So I kind of knew the name of the Shadow Monarch before this chapter, which is unfortunate, but it wasn't a really big thing because it was just a name. I don't want to know the names of anyone else, though. I rather find out the names when these chapters come up. But overall, Ashbourne as a name for the strongest, one of the strongest of the 9 monarchs, is actually really, really sick. Ashbourne, the Shadow Monarch, one of the strongest of all monarchs. That's scary when you think about it. And Jin has that power in him. But the Frost Monarch, Beast Monarch, and whoever this woman monarch is, they are going to be going after Jin. But I highly doubt they're going to have such an easy time. Like the monarch who was there at Christopher Reed's place, he's all like, I don't want to have any part of this because I don't want to wind up dead by the ruler's authority and be put into an eternal slumber. That's an interesting concept there. Can the Shadow Monarch inflict eternal slumber on his opponents? That's That's scary when you think about it, that being able to do that, especially to another monarch. If other monarchs are concerned, like, I don't want to be caught in his ruler's authority and then put into an eternal slumber, if a monarch is concerned about getting into an eternal slumber, then that means they're not immune to it. Who were the 5 national level hunters? Thomas Andre. It was Christopher Reed in that list. Jin is either the 3 or 4th, but seeing as how the one from Brazil was killed, I believe the top 5 may have changed. Now, I don't want to look it up because I don't want to see anything that could be spoiler worthy, but Thomas Andre is in that list, Jin is in that list, Christopher Reed was in that list. I would like to say Liu Zhigong is in that list as well. I believe either he or Jin is number 2 or 3. Either one of those two. But off the top of my head, I can say Thomas Andre, Jin, Liu Zhigong, formerly Christopher Reed, and formerly Jonas as well. So those are the ones I can think of. Sorry, I was late. Did you miss something? Nupur Dama, we only talk about how Jin is just chilling in the city, just over, it's raining, it's in a cityscape. Jin is thinking about the words that the Frost Monarch told him. We find out the name of the Shadow Monarch himself. His name is Ashbourne. Ashbourne, the Shadow Monarch, and he's also called one of the strongest. And 2 other monarchs who are there at an Akatsuki meeting, that, because if you looked at the panel, it looks exactly like how the Akatsuki do meetings whenever they meet up. 2 monarchs have opted out of not trying to take on Jin because they don't want to get caught in his ruler's authority and fall under the eternal slumber. But the Beast Monarch, who we still don't have a name for, can't wait for that, is joining up with the Frost Monarch and an yet unnamed female monarch who wants to help them out as well. So the Frost Monarch, Beast Monarch, and this unnamed female monarch want to go after Jin, while the 2 other monarchs who were there have opted out because they don't want to get caught up into it. The top 4 in the list were Thomas, Liu Zhigong, Christopher, and Siddharth Bachchan. Siddharth Bachchan. Okay, thank you, Destruct. Thank you for clearing that up for me. So now we know the top 4, at least. And then, just to recap for you, Nupur, Woo is being considered and actually recommended for the new position of chairman, where Go-Gun-hee was, due to the recommendations from pretty much everyone else on the board, who say that he has the power to not only have the respect of hunters, but also instill a little fear in them. And seeing as how he has the charisma necessary to get other hunters to do what is necessary when the time comes. But Woo is not exactly up for wanting to take this position. Like, he's thinking, like, what about other people? There's other people who are more qualified than me. I'm too young. I'm too naive. I don't think I have what it takes. Like, he's being too humble and is very reluctant of wanting to take the position of the person he held the most respect for. So that's going on with Woo. And then afterwards, lastly, we see Thomas Andre returning to his guild, much to the surprise and accolades of his squad members. And we see him walk through these many vaulted doors to come into a weapons room that he has, where Laura is questioning whether he wants to give 2 brand new daggers to Jin. And Laura says only 2 of them exist. And actually, let me actually go back to this panel. Let me actually go back to this panel and go up to it. And Laura says there are only 2 of them in the entire world, and I am sure that number will stay consistent throughout the future. And Andre says yes, and she says, but you're still going to give it to him? Yes, that's exactly the reason I'm going to give it to him. Don't you think it's a waste that the best of all weapons is just rotting here, gaining dust? Andre calls them the best of all weapons. And since Andre doesn't use weapons, but he's calling these the best of all weapons, yeah, Jin is about to get a major dagger glow up. I don't know the capabilities of these daggers, but I can't wait to find out. Overall, I really did enjoy this chapter, and I'm enjoying just this series as a whole. So, I'm actually glad that I managed to get these out to you guys in a succinct length of time and without, droning on for too long. So I figure that this is a perfect place for me to stop. So hold on, let me just check something real quick. Everyone here. Ooh, 17 people. Where did you all come from? I always get surprised when the amount of viewers that pop up during my solo leveling streams hits double digits. It's still just a surprise to me. So apologies if I get held aback by that. But solo leveling is becoming one of my favorite series to cover on my channel. I really do enjoy it, and I look forward to the next chapter. I don't know how much longer this story is going to go on for, but I'm enjoying every single moment, and it is... Have I tried any new manhwas? I have not yet, though the beginning of the end is definitely at the top of my list. But I'm going to wait until a little later, or at least until I have some more freed up days before I start reading it. I don't know. Do you guys want me to read the beginning of the end on this channel, or just be it something that I just read off on my own time? You guys are perfect. I always look for you guys for inspiration of what you guys want to see on this channel. So if you guys would like to see the beginning of the end, then I'd be more than happy to read through it on this channel for you guys as well. Is it ongoing? Is it still ongoing? I think it's ongoing. But you guys have to let me know. But that's all I got for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know in either here in chat or in the comments down below whether you want me to read beginning of the end on the channel, or just read it for myself. You know, I always look, you guys just tell me. I see all your comments. I see every single one. Every single comment you guys post, I read them all. So don't feel like anything you say gets overlooked. I notice every single thing you guys say. But I do want to say, it is an honor and a privilege to do this for all of you, for all of my viewers from here in the US to across the seas in different countries, and it is an absolute honor and privilege to be an international entertainer for all of you. I love flexing my voice a little bit for these types of things, so you guys can get a little bit more cinematic experience whenever I do this. But it is because of your continued support that this channel continues to do so well, especially when you tell other people about me, or, you know, I like the video or subscribe and different things like that. I'm grateful for any support that you guys show for this channel. It is an honor and a privilege to be an entertainer that you all enjoy. And I cannot be any more happier doing this. But that's all I have. So with that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. This mustache on my left side, it is literally growing faster than anything else, and it's curling into my lip, ruining my intro. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. Time to get back to playing Persona 5 Royal. I've been playing that game every single day.